Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Orange County Industrial Development Agency Audit Committee. I would like to call the meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Susan Walski.
Here.
Dean Tambury.
Here.
Mark Green.
Here.
For staff, myself, Bill Fioravanti, Kelly Riley, Brian Sandwich, our New York State Monitor, and Dylan Burke doing our AV.
Great, thank you. The meeting was properly noticed, including a time change that was posted on our website. First up, we have the approval of the minutes from our March 5th meeting. I would like to make a couple of technical corrections to these minutes.
I see it now. I did not pick up on the ones last
No,
time.
neither.
I see it as well, but.
The call to order was the acting chairman,
Right.
as I was not present. So I would like that minor correction to take place. If anybody has any other corrections, additions that they would like to present, I would like to call for a motion to accept the minutes with the changes.
Can I just ask a question? Like, if I missed it the last one, I missed this one as well on those minor things, but thanks for bringing that out. But if we see this, should we like have them correct it? Because obviously it's just a typo type thing.
Yeah,
Should
yes.
we probably call, right, and say there's a typo and just get it fixed?
I'm just as bad. I noted it when I was sitting here reading it again for the second time.
Okay, very good.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because
Well,
usually-
just asking.
Just like you guys, I'll skim through it when she sends out the email, but it's not the same always as having killed the tree and.
Yeah.
I looked by it, so I did not notice that, but thank you.
Marty will adjust that and put it right back on.
Yeah. So with that being said, there's a motion.
I will make the motion.
Thank you, Mark. Can I-
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, under new business, as within the OCFC,
Yep.
we have the audit, the request for proposals. Again, I believe the same discussion that we had, that although I'm very satisfied with PKF, O'Connor Davies, with Melissa Zott and her team, I do think it doesn't hurt to shop.
Agreed. So for those that didn't watch the OCFC meeting, we did have this full discussion, same exact discussion, and we came to an agreement that we will go out, put an RFP out, acquire at least 3 quotes. That'll give us a little sanity check on the price, and even if we do select PKF, whoever the auditor is, we're gonna request that after 3 years that they change who the lead auditor is. That's our agreement. That's how we'll proceed for both OCFC and OCIDA.
And you're right, just to reiterate, they are doing a great job.
They are,
They're doing a
no
great
problem
job.
whatsoever,
I don't
you know.
I don't want this to be read in some way.
Yeah.
No, definitely against them, and I know Marty and Kelly do an excellent job of, helping them make sure that data is available, and I know they go through a lot of data. Okay, so is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay, so next up is the
Excuse me,
theorem.
Do we have to motion or approve that, or can we do it all at once?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry, thank you.
Fiorello Pharmaceuticals, GTI, that is the Warwick Group. So apparently they had 4 companies that did not use enough local labor. And these were small companies that really just, like a painting company, is my understanding.
And the challenge with a small sub like that is if you had, say, 4 men or women on site, all 4 need to be local, because if 3 are local and 1 is not, then you're at 75%. So it does make it onerous. That's why we, for noting for posterity, we did change the policy to make it a little easier to comply.
Right. So, with these 4 companies, even though really 95% of that project was local, we still have to keep in consistency on how we've treated other companies in the past when they went outside of our local laws. I'll reference the Warwick Battery Project and the fencing.
Yep.
And I believe at that time, what we did with them is we gave them a little spanking of $2,500 for not being in compliance. So we are looking to have this board approve, do the same thing here, of $2,500 per company that did not comply with our local labor law, and looking for some feedback on that from you guys.
So it's a total of $10,000. I did discuss this with the company. and they understood.
Yeah,
Mark, can I just add one other thing? I'm sorry, before you comment. I also want to make it clear that I did speak with Brian about this, Mr. Sanovich. We did discuss it at length, especially given the fact that, first of all, it's a great project. They met their community benefit obligations, job creation, some great high-paying jobs. They've almost fully ramped up now. They did make the full investment in the facility, and as Susan said, overall they were 95%, so 10% higher than our threshold. So this is why, in talking with Brian, we weren't looking to capture any funds, sales tax, anything like that. Rather, instead, just ding them on a per instance basis.
yeah, I believe in my heart, most companies try.
Yeah.
And so I don't wanna come across as, you know, accusatory in any way. But, you know, there's also fair is fair.
Yeah.
And, we've been consistent, this is how we consistently do it. And, you know, there are frankly penalties for not living up to it. And, again, I don't think it was necessarily done on purpose, but that's my opinion. So if that is what we've consistently done, then I think we should continue to do that.
And what, I'll just add, what good is our policy if we don't, you know,
Well,
there's some sort of
it-
repercussions.
It gets real slippery real quickly,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they agreed to these policies, correct? And
Correct.
it was, again, I don't know if it was intentional, it could just have been somebody didn't call the correct people or
Mhm.
communicated, most of the time it's communication or whatever, but again, that's why we have it, it's for the people who live in the area to benefit from the jobs, et cetera. And we've also, if there was an issue, I think, you know, this committee has been very fair, and we've actually had special meetings, et cetera, when necessary, if someone had an issue,
Right.
and we said, listen, we can't meet it because, and you told us ahead of time, and we looked at it, and we had all sides looking at these issues, and we decided whether they had to comply or not to comply in specific issues. And if they had an issue like that, whether they had an opportunity to sit in front of this, you know, committee and say, hey, listen, this is the reason why. And we might not even be talking about this right now if they had gotten a waiver for whatever reason.
Yep.
And maybe there was a good reason why they could have had a waiver, but they didn't ask for it.
That's right.
And so this is the path that they went down. Now, I just want to look, so I just want to make sure on this, the contractors are not named, is that correct? Or is
They
it,
are, not the
so-
individual, the laborers, but the
No, no.
contractors are, the first page at the very bottom, Allen Brightway, at 76%.
Mhm.
And then if you flip it over, it's
Got it,
two-sided
thank
there,
you.
sorry, I should have
apologize.
mentioned that.
No, I got you.
Durante,
Gotcha.
KP Painting, and Nova Brothers.
Math was hard for me too. I didn't see that.
No, that's fine. So I'm looking
Always
at
flip
my
the page, guys,
Okay.
always flip the page.
I'm trying to save a couple trees.
Okay. Okay.
I think we should vote on this, and then, just to be clear, the full board has to approve this, so we'll bring this up on Wednesday as well.
So we can make a motion to bring it to the full board.
Well, last time you spoke to all companies.
Correct.
Thank you.
You know, I guess my final thought would just be to continue to reiterate to anyone that's, you know, that we take it serious.
Yeah, exactly.
That we, you know, like, you know, we are asking for, you know, they're asking for tax breaks, we in return are asking for our local people to work. And that, you know, while it's not the most pleasant part of our job, if you can call it that, but we do take it very serious.
I wanna also say, I do believe Loki Brill has stepped up in the past 2 years a lot more to try and intervene before companies are hired.
Yeah.
If you look at the dates of these go back to 2022, it looks like, from it, so that, I believe that was before Loki Brill was involved with the auditing.
No, they had been
They
there,
were.
yeah.
So, but I do know we asked them, I wanna say about 18 months ago, we asked them to be more interreactive when we started running into the issues with
Mm.
Royal Wines. So I believe that what we see transpired here, if you look at the dates when they were not in compliance on
Yes.
your first page,
Yeah, there's some historical.
it goes to October and November of 2022 is when you started, and it actually started from the beginning when the project first lifted off.
Yeah,
No, you're right.
So these, but to me, I'm not sure, the detail behind this. For an example, like this 21 is 73%. Like that, maybe it was a contractor who just started or whatever, and then they could have easily made up the difference and towards the end, but didn't.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Well, these are the
detail
dates that
behind
they
that.
went in and audited the
Exactly.
records,
Correct.
so,
How compliant were they at that day?
At that point, they were notified and knew where they stood.
yeah, so,
But they still have till the end of construction on each contract for them to be able to hit that threshold.
right,
So that's why being at 73 in the beginning is not.
not uncommon.
Exactly.
So I just, like I said, I think we've also educated Loki Brill a little bit better on
Yes.
the ways we want them to participate, and I think
There are
that's
the
gonna
models.
help. At the end of the day, listen, they came short in a couple of areas. We have to be consistent,
Mhm.
same way we've treated everybody else who's come short. Like you mentioned, they did have the opportunity to come to us ahead of time and ask for
Mhm.
that waiver.
Mhm.
So, action and punishment, that's what life comes down to with anything. Action and reward or action and punishment. In this case, there was just an action taken, so there has to be a consequence to go with that action.
Mhm. All right.
Okay. We want to vote? Did we?
So,
I'd like to make a motion to bring this before the full board for approval.
Yep, I'll make the motion.
I'll second
All in favor?
it. Aye.
Motion carries.
Beautiful.
Okay, and lastly, I believe this came from,
This came from the Hudson Valley Building Trades.
okay,
This is about our local labor policy. As you all know, we've been anticipating and just received an application for incentives for a large distribution center, a really kind of next level DC out in the western part of the county in Wawayanda. Labor is a concern there. It's a very complicated, very large scale project, and there's concern that there's enough labor to do it. As a result, the labor trades actually proposing that we could lower our threshold based upon a certain size development. So, and there's some legalese in here about working with the unions and such. So, not to put you on the spot, Dean, but I wondered if you could kind of go through this and tell us what
This
this
is
is.
more your world.
Well, I mean, that's fine, right, they put me on the spot, I mean, because it came through, I mean, I'm part of the trades, I mean, this really came from like the executive, board of it, which I am not on. However, they've put a lot of time into this, all right, the project, as we know, has been coming for quite some time. They talked about going to the IDA, and they've met with the trades as they're supposed to very early on, and showing them schedules and what and where they can stand, and it's just so fast tracked that, with the work outlook that's out there or whatever, they think that this would benefit all sides to be able to open it up on a project of this scale on the schedule that they're looking at to completing this project. So they think this is the best opportunity for the local people to be able to work on the project, and for the best wages, et cetera. And so that's why they wanted us to, the trades had sent it to you.
Mhm. One question I did want to ask, because I wasn't sure exactly how to interpret some of this language, but we've said it several times that we have a local labor policy. It has to be local labor. We don't require, the IDA does not at least require union labor.
Correct.
Was this written with the intent to be that it requires union labor through mention of the
Well, it would, yes. In other words, they would have a collective bargaining agreement with one of the trade groups or whatever, and in that, the reasoning behind that is because they're guaranteeing them that they're gonna be pulling from the local trades. And the local trades could start going to some of these apprenticeship programs, et cetera, and build their forces up. So, and that would be the best way for them to do that for the whole area,
Okay.
that they were signatory with one of the companies.
I just wasn't sure where it said where there is a collective bargaining agreement in place,
Correct.
if that means that there must be one, or if it's just saying in the event that there is a collective bargaining agreement in place.
I think that
It's one thing I'd like some clarity on.
the intent, obviously, is that they would have one. the intent is that they would have, the company would have a collective bargaining agreement with the local trades. So that again though, Bill, you're saying, where
Yeah,
there is a collective bargaining agreement.
yeah, I could read that as, in the event that there is one, then this is what happens,
Correct.
but not necessarily insisting that there is one.
Whereas there is.
Requiring that.
Correct, no, there wouldn't have to be one.
Okay,
No, there wouldn't have to be one. So in the last, there was a couple of local projects that you'll see specific areas of construction, let's say like the concrete or whatever, that they'll bring, it just happened at another project, which I don't wanna name, but they'll bring an entire group in and no one gets the work, period. So there's no benefits on it, obviously, whatever, but on this scale of a project, that's probably what they would be looking to do, is bring one of these national companies in with their workers from wherever. So.
Well, I'll give you my thoughts.
Of course.
Before I pass comment on this, I would like to hear our legal counsel's opinion on it.
they are reviewing this, so.
And I would also like to send it to our labor monitor and get their opinion on it, because ultimately they're the ones who would have to report on it.
Correct.
So before I make discussion on it, I would like to get those opinions first.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have several. One, I don't necessarily know if we're the right committee to start with, but.
It will go to governance, I do wanna say
Yeah.
that, but I think we should have this discussion here since
Um,
you're dealing with this issue.
You know, I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt, you know, like, I applaud the coming to the table and saying, okay, look, we've got to figure out what's best for everybody here.
Sure.
So, you know, unfortunately, you know, I don't deal with legalese very well. And, you know, I guess my initial thought was to not want to do this. In other words, you know, are you asking that we actually change our bylaws? Is that the question? Or
Why bylaws?
change our.
Our local labor policy, amended to add this.
You know, like
section.
it makes me a little nervous because just, I guess, and I'm saying this on the side of, I don't want someone to be able to abuse it, like, you know, like, we have it at that number because we want our people working.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And so I just, you know, I guess I would be, and again, I don't know, we're just talking, I guess, right? But I think I would be more comfortable if, you know, something like this came and then we could negotiate and say, okay, on this one, all parties agree that 75% makes more sense.
Right, it would be on obviously the scale of a project. This is the only
Yeah.
time it would kick in on a
Yeah.
scale of a project.
Of
that
more than
there isn't
1.5
even- I mean,
million.
you see a lot of the warehouses that are out there. I don't think, what is there one that's that large?
Medline,
Deadline is 1.3
Okay,
million.
so it would be over bedline. Just to give you an example of the
That's the largest
scale.
building.
Okay, well,
Right.
then so let me ask you this, Medline,
Mhm.
is that one that did we work on that one or
No,
not?
We didn't.
Okay.
They were
Montgomery
chased
did.
away by a state
Okay.
senator.
And yet they got state, and yet they had
Was
some
it Montgomery
state
did?
funding as well.
Montgomery.
They had state funding and people from out of the area did it, for whatever, I don't wanna bring all that up again. But all I can tell you is that maybe it's something that we have, the trades come in and explain to everyone what is all the meaning behind it, it's not just Dean. And we can do that, and I will tell you, one thing is that their goal obviously is local, right? They are so embedded locally. I don't have to, listen.
Look, you and I fought, right? Look, we're on different sides right now.
Right, but I mean, you look at anywhere from, their community, right? They've done dugouts for material costs, no laborers. They've done work at schools. They've done, community stuff. They've done down at the river. They've volunteer work. They do this. They're at BOCES, almost every school district that wants them there for career days to bring people into trades. I mean, they could go on and on and on, right? And it's all local. So they met with this group. or the group came to them and said, listen, this is what we're looking at, you know, knowing that they're gonna want, looking for IDA benefits, looking at the scale of this thing and their construction schedule, and try to work with everyone. So, I think hearing from them as well would be the best.
So why don't, here's some thoughts, just gonna throw this out there. First of all, I would wanna revisit our local labor policy to see how this fits in. Because we're talking about just a piece of it, and you know, yes, we may have read it, but there's so much language in there.
Yeah.
The other thing, like I had mentioned, getting feedback from our attorneys as well as our local labor. Would it be possible after we have that data to maybe have a joint committee meeting with the government's committee? So we're killing two birds with one stone, and then we can really chew into this.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Well, at that point, we're having a quorum. So, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, at that point, if you combine both committees.
Whether the committees are, I mean, have them come to the full board and explain it, right? I mean, at least everyone hears it.
I guess my
And then
point to you
then if
is,
the committee wants to.
like, I don't need explanation, like, I get it, I get what they're trying to do, I'm actually saying, my concern is, let's say, and I'm pulling this out of my butt, we put this in there, we make it official, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, you've got a lot of people in the union, and 1.5 million, we could handle locally, 85%. I want to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want, like, I'm just concerned that if we put it in here and it's set in stone,
Ties our hands.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to make sure that we're protecting our people. So that's, like, again, I applaud and I appreciate that, and that's what the ultimate goal is, that we all work together, because we're all everyone's going to benefit from this.
Mhm.
I think you noticed from like 2 meetings ago, you know, like I don't want to hear any more, you know, I'm tired of hearing, well, we needed special people to do this one thing. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to hear, that's why
Listen,
that's
you're
why
talking to the wrong
yeah,
guy.
I know.
Because we did waivers for things that
That's
I
what I'm
don't think,
saying.
I don't think was necessary, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is that now we've kind of reversed roles a little bit, and I'm the one that's saying,
On this,
yeah,
this specific.
absolutely,
scale.
on this specific.
Now, of course,
We're gonna reverse roles.
if you, listen, for the amount, we've given waivers before and whatever, when we thought was necessary and whatnot. For this though, for this scale, they don't think that, it's out of reach, that's all. And again, you're telling me, I mean, they want every single, if it was up to them, they would be 100%, but they're trying to be realistic and not tying the hands of the labor policy for the other projects. So again, did they over, you know, was it over or not? I mean, should it be adjusted or whatever? I don't know, that's a discussion.
That's a
with them as well.
discussion.
Correct. But I hear what you're saying, you know, but, and I know it's the opposite, but again, their thinking is that, hey, we have to, let's not have it so tight because of these scale projects, so to make sure they're coming to the IDA, and we want them to come to the IDA.
Absolutely.
So they're thinking, hey, let's do it this way. Now, if they go down the road and we get that, you know, that many people, and maybe after this, whatever a couple of these projects are, that we do the monitoring and we see where we stand, and it isn't necessary, then we can take another look at it. But right now, I don't know what our time frame is for the project and whatnot. But as all sides are coming together, the IDA, the policy, the commitment for labor for this scale project, the approvals, you know, there's a lot of moving pieces, you know, a lot of moving parts to this. Maybe there's something that we do for this, and we take a little, I hate to say keep switching it, but if we're successful in this, then maybe we want to eliminate it at that point. I don't know.
At the end of the day, Dean, quite honestly, I hope we're having this discussion every 2 years.
Yeah.
Or 3 years, you know, because if that's happening, then we're, you know.
But that's what they want as well. They listen, at the end of the day, everybody's looking for the same thing. We're all here for the people of Orange County, right?
Right.
It's really to
That's who we
benefit
work
the
for.
entire county, period, in the story. And you're not gonna get a group that doesn't looking to do good for Orange County as this group. And they would like to say leave it at of course, they would like to have 100% of it, but they also know that they're trying to be realistic as well after meeting with them, not just once, not just twice, several times. And so they're saying, hey, we're willing to say, let's get this job. Let's get this job. Let's go get this job.
So the
There's
question.
no say, hey, back off. There's no backing off, and then they want it all. But they're also being realistic on where we stand on this project. So I think it was pretty. Obviously I'm with the group, but good to them say, hey, listen, we've met with them. We don't want to hinder anybody. We want to be part of the solution, not the problem. And this is what we're willing to do. We can keep this thing done.
So, well, a couple things, we don't know, do they have approvals from the town of Wawayanda? And they have not put in an application to us yet.
I mean, those things, Susan, I don't have
We have
all
an
the answers
What?
to those.
We have an application, you get it tomorrow morning.
Okay, I'm just saying, because you're asking us to do something for something we know nothing about yet.
No.
And that's kind of,
Well, yeah, but we're, you gotta start somewhere. You
well,
gotta
I'm a data
communicate.
collector.
I understand that,
But the only thing I was gonna say is that this is the time to start discussing.
Well-
Because I think everybody knows, to your point, it has to be reviewed. It has to be, you can't say, now we have this, now we're behind the 8 ball.
Well-
I think all these moving pieces are eventually, we're hoping all come together.
well, and that's just it,
Approvals.
are they gonna be looking for IDA benefits only if they get this? That's, like you said,
No,
that's a
that-
moving
yeah.
part.
That's something that I think is all part of it. Now, as far as I've attended the first project they put out, I don't know how many that was approved, and this, I think I've been to every meeting, and the next couple of meetings, I believe are gonna be key to where
Okay.
they're goes.
Again, I'm just trying to,
Mhm.
just got this document a little while ago, so trying to,
Well,
wrap my head around
correct.
it. That's
And
why
I
we're
don't think
having
anybody-
discussion.
I don't think anybody thought that today it was gonna be, let's move
No.
on.
No.
I don't think that, I think now's the time to bring it up, to get all the questions out.
Well, and I think discussion is healthy.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you made a comment before, Susan. I don't think that any company would not care, would be thrilled, to say, oh, you're going from 85 to 75%. So this is not indicative, or this isn't a leader to whether or not that, they're not waiting on that decision. So, again, communicating as soon as possible and say, hey, this is, potentially, again, I applaud them for saying, look, we
This is
want
our
this to
potential
happen,
project.
and we wanna be a part of it, and we're willing to do this, and again, make it even more appealing to a prospective
To come here.
a company to come here. So that's really what this is about. Again, if they were coming saying, no, we want 90%, well, now we're in trouble. Right now.
Well, yeah, the reality of these complex projects
Yeah.
is some of it is so specialized where it may not really be specialized, but if you ask the engineering or the manufacturers, they're gonna say it has to be installed by our people.
Yeah. Well,
We ran into that already now, 2 or 3 times?
yeah. Well, that's what I was referring to before, right? Was like and I'm hoping that, now I will say it's something this size.
Listen, we're dealing with complexities.
There's
They've met
robotics,
with,
there's a lot involved, so there's gonna be
they,
some waivers.
they've met with them, they think, this is doable, maybe on both sides, I don't know all the details, I didn't meet with them. But, so this is something that they don't wanna be, they wanna work with everyone the best they possibly can. And obviously Orange County is pretty much their base, so.
Okay, I mean, I don't know what the goal is to approve, to move on.
I just wanna have some discussion, get these types of
Well, I
issues
think
out.
it's good, I'm glad you did this.
And I think we'll be one up when we go to governance to discuss it. And I think we'll talk to the attorney about whether or not we can have members of this sit in without it being a full board meeting. So, yeah, check on it.
And we have to make it a full board meeting, we make it a full board meeting. I
We just
mean,
do it in the board meeting.
yeah,
We have to.
Well, I will say this. As much as, I feel like I'm getting pulled in a million directions in May between here and school boards. If we have to get together and figure this out, then we better get together and figure this
Yeah.
out.
yeah.
This is,
I certainly don't wanna lose a big project that presents so much job opportunity for our labor force.
This is the white elephant or the white whale, so let's fish.
Yeah, I mean, they're out there, I mean, they've been to, I don't know, countless, job fairs, BOCES, this, that, they're trying to bring people into the trades.
And at the end of the day, we have an obligation to keep as much of our workforce local as we can and keep them employed, so they spend money.
Okay.
So where do we go from here? What do we do?
Well, I'm gonna talk to the attorney about whether we can have a joint meeting or something like that, and that's what we'll do.
And
We'll-
just let them look
if we
on the
can, we'll do
language
that.
on this.
Yes,
Make a motion to approve,
No.
yeah,
We don't know, we could just table the discussion,
yeah.
if everybody's okay.
Well, I don't know if we table, or I guess table means more, just like.
No, I know, I
discussion.
think,
I don't know what-
I think
what
your
it is.
comment was one that we should suggest, which is legal should look at this and we should, continue to have this important
So
discussion.
it's
Either way, bring
tabled
it to
till after
governance.
legal review.
Yeah,
Right, that's what I'm saying, I don't know if that's in the minutes, or we,
Well, for our official minutes, we
I don't
can
know.
table the discussion upon attorney review of the document, correct?
But will it come back here, or will we take it right to governance next? That's the question.
I
It
think
has
we
to
should
go through governance.
I think it should go to governments, I think it also should go to the full board.
Well, it would have to,
Right.
but I think,
Right.
but I think whatever it is, I guess my point is this. We have a long cycle, like, I don't know when governance meets again, you know what I mean? And if governance meets a week after the next full meeting, then we're, you know what I mean, now we're talking, like,
They
we're,
meet the same day next time,
Governments
In
meets
June.
next Wednesday, the same day as our regular board meeting.
then fantastic.
but we canceled it this month, so before this came up, so,
Son of a-
sorry, so it's June.
So then look, here's my problem. I don't wanna have this, this is important,
It is.
again, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
this is a big
isn't-
thing.
This is, so, I think we all have to look in the mirror and say, okay, we've gotta commit to realizing this. So I would prefer that, is there any way to get, if you think it has to go through governance first, then is there any way to get two people, do we have three people on the thing?
You're,
On governance?
Yeah.
I think you're four.
The
In
four.
other words, you're
Four.
talking about an additional meeting or something, I'm sure. you-
Something to move this along, because I don't wanna have to wait, if you're telling me the June one is canceled.
No.
Or the
May
May one
is
is canceled.
It'll be June
So now-
18th, I
So now
believe.
June 18th is, this is getting
Yeah.
pushed further and
Well,
further.
I would tell you this, back to Susan's point, that, obviously legal looks at it or whatever, but maybe it's something that, I don't know where I would stand, because it's, because of what the difference is in the policy or whatever, that if a board member would wanna hear a little bit more before the governance just brings it to them. Maybe there's more questions, maybe there's more while somebody's there explaining it, I don't know.
Brain is going.
Yeah.
So, and I understand, that we need to have some type of sense of urgency about this, because we don't wanna lollygag about, because we wanna see projects moving forward. So is there a way that maybe next week, when we have our regular committee, that this can just be, like this was, for discussion, and with the opinions of the whole board, kick it back to governments with our suggestions? With the whole board suggestions, does that make sense to help move it along?
Well,
I don't know.
why does it have to go backwards? That's what I don't understand. I thought governance was supposed to,
Well, I'm trying to handle everything through committee, so we can really dive in it, so the board meeting does not become a committee meeting, several committee meetings. They all require elaborate discussion, so I think we'll come to the board and we'll have this
That's
kind of
fine,
discussion.
yeah, I
but
think you're correct. Yeah.
Just really, that's the way I'm trying to work it, so that we're being more efficient.
Yeah, I just don't want it
We
to
don't have to
go
do everything that way, but.
June to governments, then the governments has to give it to the full board, then the full board's gonna have further notes on it, and then it's gotta go back. I'm trying to just take out one of those meetings, that was my reason for bringing it maybe just to the board for discussion only. And if Jean wants to have the presentation done, then at least the board members that are there can see it and hear it.
let's take a step back. Why was the governance canceled for next week?
Well, this issue had not come up, to
Understood.
be clear, and it was because in part Linda's away, and we want to handle some of this stuff when she gets back. So that was part of it. And we had been meeting with governance every single month, which is unusual, mostly to move the policy.
Right,
review.
so there wasn't a lot going on,
There
that's
wasn't.
why you canceled that
Correct,
sign.
correct.
So, I hear you want Linda involved, but, you know, can you put it back on there?
We
You
can.
can get 3 people there out of the 4 to discuss this and then, you know, be able to, I just, again, you know, now we're talking June, then July is wishy. You know, I just,
That's it. Yeah.
people are
I
trying
think,
to,
no, I think we're all right, well, obviously, I think we're all doing a good job moving forward, and I think that we always said, if it's that light of a agenda, and it was this one on it, then, I don't know about you, but I'd be like, okay, let's skip the
Absolutely.
government.
Absolutely.
And so he doesn't do it, then this comes up, and now we're asking him for it, we're like, most of the time, we're like saying, do we have to?
Exactly.
So I understand, you know, all aspects of it, but, and it's something that, we can discuss, you know, I'm sure Bill could try to put something together
Yeah.
about Linda's schedule.
Yeah,
and
this really is
whatnot.
their ball of wax, not ours. The
yeah.
only thing is, they'd come to us if they needed the waivers.
Would you want to attend, Dean's on governance, would you two want to attend governance in order to be able to give input? Which I don't think is a problem, I can check with council, but
Because usually we can't speak at committee because of quorum
you
issues.
can speak, you can't vote.
Right,
You can provide input as a guest,
We assume like schedules like
and
next
everyone just
week.
comes in free.
usually by next week,
Yeah,
probably.
If, provided you can pull your other 3.
That's a problem,
Yeah.
that's a problem for me,
it is, huh?
which I was gonna talk to you about, anything to talk to you about.
I could
Okay.
make 3 if I had to.
Okay.
I don't know if I
But it
can.
doesn't matter,
I think we need
if
to.
you can't make it,
If you-
then it can't
And Linda's
happen.
not here,
Yeah,
so you don't have a quorum
Yeah.
anyway.
It never fails. I have to, I have no choice, I have to put it down.
I can also ask about just discussing it in governance, or I'm sorry, in the board, given the time. Can we just bring it right to the board? It's not like we didn't have a discussion in here, so. I just wanna verify that we can do everything that way, that's all.
Yeah, I would
Wanna go through
check with
all this
legal.
with council,
That's why we have counsel.
exactly, exactly. I told them originally we didn't need him today, so that's my fault, so.
That's all right.
This came up and it.
Once they get eyes on it, you know, that would take us to a different level anyway.
Okay. So we're gonna take it either to governance or the board, we're gonna see how, talk to Dean, we'll see what we can do.
Provided you can get a quorum for governance.
Yes.
All
This
right.
committee wants to move this forward as quickly as possible.
Yeah, well, I just, again, I'm worried about summer and, you know.
Vacations and quorums and-
Yeah, you know, like, okay, now, what are we gonna do, September?
But to your first point, just for argument's sake, what you said, you know, a while ago is, there also is the possibility where we don't even adopt this and we do everything on a first, you know, a case-by-case basis. So if timing is the issue, if we wanna get this right and not rush it, we still can handle this.
We could do a
new one.
one-time exemption.
Yeah, we could do however we wanna handle that, but this goes in place. I'm not saying that's where we go, but it's a possibility. I don't want us to feel like there's a gun to our head to get this in right now, necessarily. I'm not saying we're gonna slow walk it, but we
No,
gotta do what we can do.
I don't wanna lose an application without, you know,
And they're trying to move quickly too. so.
I don't want to be the people that are holding things up.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there are too many seriously important people that are trying to make things happen that affect people's lives.
Yeah.
I think this
I don't
is-
wanna be the ones that are
Right.
holding this up.
I think that's why this is in front of us,
Yeah.
exactly the same reason.
right. Listen, 1.5 million space is a huge, massive space.
But the other thing about it is that it's not just that space, it's space that goes up.
Right, multi-story.
Yeah.
It's actually a smaller footprint than the original building, but it goes up.
Higher, whereas Medline is only 2 stories.
So it would be, I believe it's 3.
So,
That's what makes it.
I don't know if we've accomplished anything, but
I think we did.
I wanna make sure that, again, if, there is absolutely no way I want anyone looking, going, you know, the IDA needs to get their act together. That can't happen. It just can't.
No, we can't have, no.
We did.
I think we're
Share
doing
that for sure.
doing
All
more
right, so we're gonna get it into the soonest possible meeting we can.
Yes.
Ideally governance, if not, we'll bring it to the board.
Yes.
All right, let me just review with council and I'll fill you folks in and we'll
We
proceed
don't
that
need
way.
any motion or anything for that.
I don't think so.
Cause this was just a new business discussion.
Discussion, exactly.
And I guess to your point, Dean, you know, whatever meeting it is, like, is there one person behind this that we could,
Well, I'm sure I could send one person. It doesn't have to be a
that
group.
knows, you know, not,
That helped
let me
offer.
rephrase. I don't wanna imply that they know more than you do.
But they do.
But that, you know, look, you know, you have two hats, and I don't necessarily think it's right that you should represent and then also, you know what I mean?
Right, I don't, that's why I said right
Yeah.
away that because, and I told you that, I'm part of that, you know, the group, but I'm not on the executive board, I haven't met with anybody, you know, for a lot of reasons, but, so they would have a lot more detail.
Yeah.
So I could read this and understand why they're doing it and whatever, and then attending the meetings and knowing how important this project is to the county, and it's an important project.
It would be
for the
nice if we
IDA.
can have the presentation like we had with Royal
That's a
Wine
good
that was
idea.
so detailed with the building and stuff like that to get a better concept of it. Because for me personally, I'm a visual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We will.
Okay.
Well, no, to that, I mean, I've seen it, you know, because I've
Right.
been to the meetings, but.
I'm just saying, for me, you know, I'm a
That's
visual
fine.
with a
Yeah,
construction
yeah.
background as well, so if I see a picture of something, I can say, oh, that's gonna need some serious work, you know, it'll tell me that, you know, I may not know all the labor available, but it will give me a clue
It might
to
even-
that
yeah,
what's
it
gonna
might
take
even-
to
it might even-
construct
Might
it.
even be out there, but that we can have them do that, I don't see why not.
Okay.
All right?
Any other further discussion?
No.
Do we have a need for an executive session?
Just a brief executive session to discuss personnel.
Okay, so if we could have a motion to go into executive session,
Motion?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're back?
All set.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, we are back from executive session, no decisions were made. I would like to have a motion to close the meeting.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.